Okay, fifth graders, you are going to choose your partner, or you're going to choose to work by yourself for this project. The first thing you're going to start with yourself or with your partner, is this worksheet that says Playground Design. In your finished playground design, you should have at least 20 individual forms put together to make your whole playground. So looking at this shape key here, you can use any of these basic forms or symbols. I want you to do a little bit of a sketch, just a plan so we can see an idea of what you want to put together. This can change later as you get into Tinkercad, but I do want to see a plan with your partner. So you're going to sketch this out with your partner. On the back, you will find some examples of different playgrounds that have been created by kids just like you in Tinkercad. You may look at this to get some ideas of how they put theirs together, but you should not be copying any of these things. Think about your own playground design. What could you put together to make your playground interesting and unique? On the back here, there are two-sided directions of some processes and tools that I'm going to go over now in Tinkercad. So starting with this, you're going to read over this with your partner to just remind yourself how to do these basic things like adding forms, changing the forms, grouping forms, and adding a whole. So I'm going to get into Tinkercad now. And once you're in Tinkercad, you should be logging in with your Chromebook login. So I logged in with my Google email and my password, and my account is right here. So I'm going to be clicking Create New Project. So once I'm in my profile here, I have some projects that I've started. If you have one from last week that you started with, you can keep working on that one, or you can add a new project here. So I'm going to click Create New Project and start with a new project. So we'll just start with this one here so you guys can see. I'm going to click Tinker this because I've already started this one here. Okay, so I have some stuff done here that I'm going to show you how I did, but I'm going to right now just delete all this and start from the beginning. So the first thing that you need to know about is how to move your screen around. This button here will move your screen around in a circle, and you can change the view of how you're looking at your playground design. You can also click Zoom in and Zoom out here. And you can click the home view to just get a regular plain view. You can also use your mouse to zoom in and out with your fingers on the mouse pad. 2 fingers in and out will zoom in and out. Okay, let's start by adding a form. Click on any of these basic shapes, and you can use some of the text and numbers if you want, but I don't want you to use any of these really complex shapes that other people have created on Tinkercad. I want you to actually, if you want something that looks like this, create it yourself. So just using the basic shapes here. Select a box, put the box down by clicking. Now as I kind of move my screen here and I zoom in, you can see some arrows and some little tiny lines and boxes around this box. So these lines that are around the box here, these little dots, these will move the box in and out and make it wider. So I can make it skinnier, I can make it wider and longer. The box on the top here will make it taller and shorter. You should also see the numbers on the side moving up and moving down. That's how big and how small your form is. So when I get to 0, there is no form there. If I go to down here, that would be like my form going underneath the picture plane. We don't want it to be underneath. We want to have a positive number going up here. Okay, this arrow on top will move my shape up and down. So if I change my view here, my box is now hovering above my picture plane. So this just changes it from like the direction of where it is on the picture plane, up and down. Okay, I can also just select my shape and just move it around like this if I want. All right, so changing our forms and adding our forms. Now we're going to go over grouping forms. So let's say I want to add a form on top of this form, like a rooftop form. I need to place that form down, but I also need to pull it up so that it's touching the top of this form. And I can move my view around to see that it's actually touching the top of this form. If I go too high though, it's going to be hovering above, and the printer is not going to be able to print this because you have a form that's hovering in space. You want to make sure the forms are touching. So I need to move my arrow down so that they're touching. Okay, so I have 2 forms here. If I want to group them together and make them the same form, that will just allow me to move them at the same time. So I have my 2 forms here. I'm going to select by dragging over both of them, and I'm going to click this button that says Group. So you can see now they changed to the same color, and when I move them, it's now the same form. So they're just connected together now. Okay, last thing I want to show you is how to make a hole. So let's say I have a box here, and in my playground I want people to like climb through the box. I can take another form here, and I can add that form inside of my box. Instead of solid though, I want to click the button that says hole. So I'm going to click that, and when I unclick here, you can see that there's a hole there. But I do need to group them together to make the hole actually all the way through. So I'm going to select the two and group. And once I group, now you can see that the hole goes all the way through. You have to group them together if you're going to make a hole. That's very important. Okay, a couple other things here. A hole can help you do more than just adding a hole through a shape. So putting my shape down my box, let's say I want to change this shape by cutting something out of it. Not putting a hole through it, but actually cutting a space out of it. So for example, I'm going to put down another box, and I just want to cut the corner of this first box. So I'm going to put it on the corner there, then turn it into a hole, group them, and now I have like a piece cut out of that form. So a hole is good for changing up a form that you want to look a little bit different, but not very different. So cutting things out of those forms. Okay, last thing I want to show you is when this is complete, let's just imagine my entire playground is put together, it's all finished, I love how it looks, and I'm thinking I'm done. What I want everyone to do at the end is take a box, and I want you to drag this box all over your whole picture plane and make this box very low. I want the box to be underneath my forms, and it's just popping out 1 inch. Okay, now I'm going to group everything together here so that I have my playground all together. And the reason why is because when we print this on the printer, if some of you print this, I want your forms to be able to stick to this base so that they're not all separate pieces, but they're all like the same model sculpture of a playground. So that's what we'll talk about at the very end. You don't have to worry about that yet. Do that step at the very end. Okay, let's get started.